Welcome, sir.
Good to see you.
It's good to see you, man. Have a seat.
Far away.
Thank you for coming in.
Yes. Oh, do I really need this microphone? Well, yeah, that's my sexy voice.
I would love to start off this panel by asking you about your acting journey. How did you get involved? I know you were a military man, right?
Yeah, Marine, yeah.
How did acting come into your life and when?
Other doors were closed. I joined the Marine Corps in '72 to be a lifer.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, well, I still am in my mind, 51 years a Marine. So I joined the Corps to be a lifer. I started playing Marine Corps football, and I got a little bit arrogant. Played that for a few years, and I felt I needed to play pro. The pros needed me. So I did my one hitch in the Corps and went to Seattle to try out for the Seahawks. And guess what they said after my tryout? They said, "Thank you very much, but we don't need you." Okay, so here I am. And I played one season on their practice squad, the semi-pro team called the Burien Flyers. Anyway, so here I am. I joined the Corps 17, 18, 19, I'm 21, and my Marine Corps days are over and my football career is over. And I was pretty, my head was down. It's a great little study in the human condition or human behavior. When these doors are closed, there's always a purpose and a reason. Unless we, a lot of things we do as men anyway is self-induced, making the wrong choices. This really had nothing to do with wrong choices. It was just these doors were closed for a reason. Then a buddy I was working with came to me and he said, "Hey, I read this incredible article on Clint Eastwood. I think it will inspire you." So I read the article. That would have been 1976. Yeah. And I think he'd only been in the business about 21 years. I think he started acting in 1955. So I read the article. It inspired me to really go to Hollywood. I mean, I was taking some voice classes and all that, but I had an idea or maybe a good feeling about it. But after I read the article, it's like this, and let me just tell you this. I was down because, again, the military career was over, the football career was over, but if we can just raise our head a little bit, the good Lord has either a gigantic door he wants us to see or a little bitty window. And I had my eyes up just a little bit, and sure enough, after that article, so I felt I had purpose. And I love what Denzel Washington says. He says, "Dream and dream big, but a dream means nothing without a plan." So here I am. Now I'm going to Hollywood. What's my plan? I got to buy my grandpa's second car, right? A Dodge Coronet, 1968 Dodge Coronet 440. So I had a car. I had a family member living in LA, my aunt, and I needed a job. So my grandpa sold me his car for $50. And I told my aunt I'm coming. And I arrived. And I got a job that same day as a waiter. And that same night, I joined an acting class, so it happened, boom, just like that.
Wow. So you are at a horror convention. Are you a horror fan yourself?
Well, yeah, I am. I am a fan of the creative side and all the talent involved. But I don't watch a scary movie before I go to bed. Okay, I'll just put it to you that way. All right, I want to have good dreams. All right, I mean seriously, I don't want to see that last image of. I don't want to see that. But funny enough, Flash Gordon, a lot of people argue this point, but it comes under the official category as a sci-fi fantasy horror genre. It does. So when I call some promoters that are promoting their horror event, I tell them, I said, I'd like to be a guest. And they say, well, Flash Gordon's not a horror movie. Well, I won the Saturn Award under the category sci-fi fantasy horror. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
the great thing about Days of the Dead is it's primarily horror, but it's also a pop culture con.
Yeah, it is.
And Flash Gordon is a massive part of our pop culture. A show that I loved when I was a child, which I saw, now I own on DVD, is First and 10.
Oh yeah.
And it was a football show. If you guys haven't seen it, Delta Burke owns a football team.
Yes.
And so you had a few episodes of that. How was that?
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Matter of fact, that was if I'm not mistaken, the first live action for HBO, right?
Yeah.
It was the first
I do
live
think
action
so.
show for HBO. Yeah.
Yeah.
And no, it was fun. It was great. I think I did quite, I don't know, how many episodes did I do? 3 to 5, something
Something
like
like
that.
that.
Yeah. My character name was Johnny Valentine, the star football player who was full of himself. But what was really cool, we got to play with real football players.
Yes.
Even O.J. Simpson, Marcus Allen were the two leads in that. And Delta Burke. Wasn't Ann Gillian? No, that was something else I did. And that was really a lot of fun. And it was good to be part of a network. Their first live. I did the same thing for the Animal Planet. I did the first live action show called Hollywood Safari in '98, I think it was. So it was kind of cool to be part of, a inaugural event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that one finally got a DVD release after the longest time. So I own that. I'm going to nerd out a little bit, if I may. Another thing, I think my favorite role of yours
Yes.
is Diagnosis Murder.
Oh yes, yeah. That
Early
Dick
on.
Van Dyke, man,
Dick
come
Van
on,
Dyke.
he's a legend.
It was a peach episode. It was so fun.
It was fun, yeah. And then of course his son was in that.
Yes.
Right? Or his great, his son, yeah, his
Yes.
son. And no, it was great. Look, anytime in any industry, anytime I talk about the movie business, which we are, in your own mind, whatever you do, just substitute that with your industry, because it all applies. It's the same thing. But the first blessing is getting hired, right? Would you agree? Getting hired. So the first blessing for me in this 45-year run in the movie and TV industry is getting hired. So yeah, when that phone rings and they tell you you're going to do Diagnosis Murder, I said, wait a minute, is that the one starring the legend Dick Van Dyke?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's even icing on the cake when you're working with somebody who you respect and admire.
Yeah. How did Flash Gordon come into your life?
Well, back then, I was making my first film for Blake Edwards, right? He did all the Pink Panther movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Hawaii with an unknown actress named Bo Derek, with an up-and-coming Dudley Moore. He was known in the UK. Robert Webber, Dee Wallace was in this movie, and I had a small part. I played Bo Derek's husband. Even though I was on the film for a month, it was actually a tiny part. And I got a call from Dino De Laurentiis that he wanted to meet me back in LA for, he's casting Flash Gordon. And I was not about to, and here I am on location. And they said, it's urgent. Dino wants to see you, it's urgent. So I was not about to ask this other legend, Blake Edwards. By the way, Julie Andrews was in the movie too, his wife. I didn't want to step my bounds because again, it was just a small part. He found out that Dino De Laurentiis wanted to meet me for my initial interview, and he hired a private helicopter to fly me from the island to Honolulu Airport to on a plane back to LA for that meeting. And that meeting was the first of, and this is unheard of anymore, about 9 months of interviews and auditions. You don't do that anymore. Now you just take out your iPhone, somebody sends you some material, part of a script, and you study it. You put that tape right there on that iPhone on a tripod, boom. Yep. But it was extensive. It was crazy. And the last phase of that 8 or 9 months of interview audition process, he flew me to London for official, old-fashioned Hollywood screen testing, because we didn't have the video. It was up and coming, but it wasn't perfected yet. So imagine, it's a screen test. It's a 30 days of screen testing. Wow. What does that mean? That means you need a camera crew. You need every department you could think of: hair, makeup, wardrobe, electrical, lighting, on and on. And so that was probably a couple $100,000 invested. And now again, we just take out the iPhone, we self-record, and we hit send. It's crazy. And it costs nothing, right? Except whatever your monthly charges are for your iPhone, right?
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, so finding that last phase. And here's another piece of gold about life. And I talk about these things because I talk with, other men I've hung out with, and some of my inner circle of buddies. We talk about, again, the human condition and the adversities and the challenges. But when it came down to the last day, the 30th day of screen testing, Dino did everything. He wanted me to look just like the original Flash Gordon. So the hair was blonde. I got in really good shape. But he wanted to change my eye color blue. Now, the only way you can do that is through a contact lens. Let me just refresh your memory.
Yes.
This is 1979. So there were no soft lenses. There were the demos. There were the hard lenses. It felt like sandpaper in your eyeballs. So I was doing it for a test. I thought, I'm blinking a lot, and it was just a horrible distraction. So here's what Dino told me. He said, Sam, when you go in there to do this last screen test, I want your eyes blue. You're going to, if you don't do it, I said, Dino, I can't do it. It's irritating. It burns. It hurts. He says, if you don't do it, you're not going to get the part of Flash Gordon. So here's the point I'm making. Again, apply it to any industry, any situation where somebody above you, some supervisor, is threatening you. Okay, well, I understand from his point of view, he wants to see blue eyes. But we have to simplify. And when I mean simplify, okay, what is expected of me at this very moment? Oh, I am to give my very best performance, otherwise I'm not going to get the part. So the priority is not about this threat about my eyes being blue. My point is to present the very best of me and not be blinking and acting like I have some issues. So, and that first voice, when I went to do it, I was 5 minutes away from filming it, and that first voice for me is always the voice of fear. Oh, you don't belong here, and you better do this, or you're not going to get the part, and who do you think you are, and boom, boom. And the other voice, usually I call it the voice of reason, or the voice of God. The second, for you too, right, comes in and says, shut up. You do belong here. Forget about the contact lenses, because that's just going to take you out of your game. Just get in there and give your performance of your life. And I went there and I did it. And let me tell you how that works. I did it. Dino came running up to me, and what do you think he said to me? Because I gave my best performance. He said, oh my gosh, you're my new Flash Gordon. So even the very person, the very entity that speaks the threat is also confounded. Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
It even worked for him. So that's just something that really is a piece of gold that you got to take with you, especially when it comes to being threatened and all that. The very person who spoke the very threat, he was confounded on, hey, you're right. It does make sense. You did good.
You won him over.
Yeah, it's crazy,
You won
isn't
him
it?
over.
Yeah.
To listen to the voice of truth.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing, yeah.
You worked with a lot of people, a lot of big stars and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have like a story of somebody who was really great and maybe somebody who's really terrible? Which are dead now, so you can.
Yeah, yes. No, good question. We don't like to talk. I try not to talk negative about people, but I'm going to.
Some of them talk negative about you. So no, like
Yeah, no. I'm saying you're asking me great people I work with, big names, and then the other side, big names but not so great. And I only share this because when we look at our heroes, and well, here's what happened to me. My first TV series was called Code Red, 1981. And my hero growing up is a couple of guys, John Wayne, Lauren Green, okay, Ben Cartwright, Bonanza. Are you freaking kidding me? And he's playing my dad. I'm his son in my first TV series. And I was so excited, and so here's my point. So I remember, so we introduced, and yeah, he was okay. He shook my hand, boom, boom. And then the crew went we were getting ready to do our first scene. The crew had to take a break to talk about something. And here I am, I'm in the back seat of the car. He's in the driver's seat. He's the battalion fire chief, and I'm his son, the helicopter pilot with the fire department. So all of a sudden, there's nobody here except Lauren Green, my hero, and me. And he's looking in the rearview mirror at me, and we have eye contact. He's getting ready to say something to me, right? This is Ben Cartwright. He's getting ready to say something to me. This is going to be so uplifting and so inspiring. So this is what we cannot do in life. We can't build somebody up so much And he looked in that mirror and he gave me great eye contact, and he just went off. He went off like an old, angry, mean, nasty human being. And just every word was the F word, talking about how horrible the business is. These people are horrible. And my heart dropped out of my chest. And the first thing I said was, I'm never going to be that guy. So here I am, 68. I think he was probably in his early 60s. If you do the math, somebody look up his birth date, because we filmed it in 81. I just said to myself, I don't care. I'm never going to let any business, any industry, any person dictate to me my day-to-day behavior. So anyway, my heart dropped out of my chest, and I even gave him a second chance. I said, maybe he's having a horrible day. That's horrible. So we go back into the soundstage after we're done, and I'm still in shock from this. This guy's a legend. How can he let this happen to him like this? And all of a sudden, I see him opening up. I could tell it's fan mail. We're sitting down waiting for the next scene. And you could tell it's fan mail because on the letter, you can see written in crayon. A little kid was writing a fan letter on the outside of the envelope. And he opens it up, and everything he's doing is angry. Even opening an envelope. And then when he's reading it, he's growling like an, I mean, my God. And then all of a sudden, he's reading this from this kid because of the crayon, and it throws it in the trash. And I thought, that's it. I'm done. You got your second chance. We're not going to be buddies because I'm not going to learn any more from you. You're just going to, matter of fact, you're going to hurt me. And I don't want to be around that. So it's a great lesson. Other big names, Mark Wahlberg is probably one of the most humble human beings in the world. Incredible. You got to understand, a lot of big names, all they want to talk about really is their family. I mean, I'm here because we're talking about the industry. But when you get them in a private area, away from, we're not rolling camera and just talking. And he was a new dad. I mean, my God, I think he had 4 sons, if I'm not mistaken. Each age was 2 years apart. Maybe a year and a half apart. It was crazy. He had a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 4.5, 5-year-old, and a 6-year-old. And they just wanted to talk about that because he knew I had 5 children. A lot of times I do movies, and I'm not, in other words, Mickey Rooney, right? He's in the movie, and I'm in the movie, but we don't have a scene together. So, but he was probably 90 whenever I did this independent film, and I said, I get to meet Mickey Rooney. Oh my God! I mean, he started acting at 3 years old or something. And so he's coming in the limo, and I'm walking out, and this was my only chance to meet him. And I said, Mickey, how you doing? He goes, good. Okay, good to see you, man. Okay, take care. Hey, have a good shoot. Goodbye. I thought, wow, at least he acknowledged me, Mark Wahlberg, Max von Sydow was incredible. Oh. Brian Blessed from Flash Gordon. Who else? Yeah, and then the leading ladies are just all incredible. I was told I was rarely single in the industry. It was either in a relationship or I was married. So I was told, I think by Max von Sydow, he said, whatever you do, young man, do not get in a relationship with the leading lady, okay? And I only did that one time, but I was single. And I understood why. Out of the 70, 75 films I did, remember, I was always in a relationship. So it was a no-brainer for me, just, be loyal to the relationship I'm in. But that one time I did, it was wonderful. She was incredible. I'm not going to tell you who it is. I want to protect that. And then on the other side of that, I did three movies with Shannon Tweed. I don't know if you know Shannon Tweed, married to Gene Simmons, right? I did 3 movies with her. So at the end of the 3rd movie, she came up to me and she said, "Is your wife Ramona going to pick you up?" I said, "Yeah." When she comes on the set, have her come I want to talk to her. I said, "Okay." I went, wow, that's kind of strange. And so my wife went up to her and Shannon said, "This is the 3rd movie I've done with your husband. He is the only leading man that never tried to hit on me." Aww. So there's the other good side of that too, right? Yeah. It's wonderful. And then so I ended up, I think a week later, she asked me to come over to her house. She wanted me to introduce me to her husband, Gene Simmons. And she obviously told him. I had to pick up a script or something they wanted me to read. And he came down the stairs. He was like the king coming down the stairs. He just stared at me the whole time. Didn't say a word, just stared at me. And then he gave me the script and he went, and that was it? Okay. I'm like, good job. So, yeah, most of the experiences have been wonderful.
Most people don't work very long if they're terrible.
Well, you know,
Or they've had
but
enough
you're
work.
hearing these horror stories now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like to go. It just came up one day. You know, you're talking about the best dog food to get for your dog. All of a sudden, it comes up. Well, the most horrible actors to work with. The
Right.
most horrible. How does that come up on the Google thing? The most horrible attitudes, major stars in the business, and you start reading them. It just came up and went. Oh, really? He treats people like that. Then you hear the stories that actually happen. Money usurps attitude, unfortunately. If you're a bankable name, there's only 20, 25 guys in the industry, you know, the Denzels, the Tom Cruises, et cetera, where they're booked for the next 4 or 5 years. And if they have a little bit of attitude, as long as they're not doing something, you know, where someone's getting really hurt, the money, the economics that will outweigh any, okay, he's having a bad day. They'll write it up as having a bad day. Sorry, okay, we'll pay an extra $50K. Can you put up with his attitude? I mean, you know, come on. It's crazy, but you don't want that. It's a horrible message to send to people.
Yeah.
It's a horrible message. And I felt really bad. And then someone tried to make up the excuse for Lauren Green. Oh, that's when he was putting a lot of money into his wildlife show called Lauren Green's Wildlife, whatever. Oh, he lost millions. I said, so? So? We're here to show up, to be professionals.
Amen.
Okay? Let's feed off of each other. Let's bring the very best of each other out. And I just felt, and thank God I said that. And I've been pretty good. Yeah, I have my moments. I'll tell my wife, I said, but aren't I, why do they look at me weird? Aren't I encouraging to people? And she would say, you're abrasively encouraging.
Oh.
Okay. So that side comes out sometimes. But as far as being mean, nasty, even my pastor told me, Sam, even if you have to fire somebody, the last word out of your mouth, you better be building that person up.
Amen.
Instead of saying, you build people up no matter what.
Exactly.
Anyway, thank God I did not end up like that. And I said, why would any of us, no matter what industry you're in, why would we do that? And then again, another little rabbit trail, but connecting, I get a phone call from a guy named Seth MacFarlane 12 years ago. And he said, hey, when I was 8 years old, this is him talking, when I was 8 years old, my mother dropped me off. I was getting on her nerves. She dropped me off at the movie theater at 8 years old, all by myself. I saw Flash Gordon. You changed my life. I'm getting ready to do my first, my directorial debut. And it's got a strong Flash Gordon theme, and I want you in it. So why am I telling you this? So here I am, we're talking about role models. Lauren Green, Mark Wahlberg. And you'll hear athletes, especially athletes, say, oh, I'm not a role model. Well, whether we like it or not, we are role models. So get over that. So here I am. I impacted this young 8-year-old who grew up to be, remember, substitute my industry with your industry, who grew up to be a decision maker in my industry. Same thing applies to your industry. Okay? You're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever you are, and you impacted this very young person at a very young age, and next thing you know, 25, 30 years, 40 years later, maybe you had a couple months where you needed a job and the phone rings. Maybe he or she grew up to be the CEO of a company and they're looking for some more senior level leadership or another job. So that's how I look at life now. And it's just a fascinating study. So if I keep doing what I'm doing, I can keep working till I leave this earth in my 90s or later. And if we're still impacting people on a good way, then the upcoming that will be decision makers will still get those calls. Is that amazing how that works?
Amazing.
It's just fascinating to me.
Moonlight as an inspirational story?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
This feels like a seminar
no,
right
I
now,
love it because
and I love it.
I love it. I feed off your questions. I feed off you guys. But it's just wonderful. And the only thing I can give you are my failures and my successes. And I think we learn more from our failures. I really do. I mean, it's. And again, I just want to talk about insanity because I probably lived more than half my life as an insane person. Now, what does that mean? I was making the same, as a guy, making the same choices over and over again, expecting a different end result. Wait a minute. Okay, that's freaking insanity. The only way you're going to have success and a different end result is make another choice. Okay, not the same freaking choice. Are you kidding me? So yeah, isn't that crazy how that works?
Yeah.
Well, I know you're a SAG actor, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm
actually FICOR. Let me explain what that means. You know what FICOR means?
No.
It's short for Financial Corps. So what that means is I'm one of the few, I don't know about a few, there's probably a couple thousand out of millions of actors. Charlton Heston found a loophole in the Supreme Court ruling about actors. And in the beginning, the Screen Actors Guild, or the AFTRA, AFTRA, American Federation of Radio, Television, Radio Artists, said you can only do movies if you're a union, a SAG actor. Right. Well, he found, Charlton Heston, believe it or not, got sick and tired of all the work going to the A-list actors. He said, wait a minute, these other, and all that means is, B-list, C-list, D-list, doesn't mean you're not as talented, it just means this is your quote. This is how much you get here, A, B, C, D, E. Right? So he got sick and tired of all these other great actors who are not on the A-list who have families to support. So they overturned the Supreme Court ruling where we can become Financial Corps. All that means is I turn in my union card, I now become a dues paying non-member. I have all the rights, I get all the pension, everything, except I'm not allowed to vote for officers of the Screen Actors Guild. And I've been Financial Corps for 30 years. It means I can do, and a lot of my work has been non-union. So I could do, and the thing about, if you're a producer and you want to do a union picture, well, you know how much extra you have to pay. There's anywhere from 16 to 20% extra on top of your budget. But I understand the unions protected us, we got that, but I'm allowed to do both. It's under FICOR, Financial Corps. Go ahead, that was a long interruption because you mentioned union, yeah.
Yeah, because I did some acting, but just non-union.
Yeah.
But because where I live, there's not a lot of acting opportunities. Because I live in Michigan.
Yeah, well, you could do FICOR. Well, you could do non-union only until you become SAG. It's crazy. Right. You can't become FICOR until you become SAG, and then you say, hey, after a limited amount of time, hey, here's my union card. I now want to become Financial Corps. But there's a lot of work for non-union. But I encourage people to join the union. And I have nothing against Screen Actors Guild. They've been very good. It's a great, all the benefits, all that good stuff. I mean, I think you got to make what is it now? I think you've got to make 32 or 35,000 a year to get what we call it, Tier 1. And then now for the senior guys, I'm a senior guy. I think it's 15. I think 15K. So they make it even better for us senior guys. Okay.
Well, just for me, because I have a lack of opportunity. I don't really want to pay all the dues for something that I don't have more access to.
Well, yeah. Well,
so I don't know what comes first, chicken and egg.
Well, you have to take it back. Oversimplify. That's what I do. Oversimplify. What's your purpose in life? What do you want to do for employment? So you have to take it back to the beginning. What do you want to do? How do you provide? How do you pay your bills right now?
Well,
because I tell people that want to be in the movie industry, here's the economics, real quick. I know I give long answers. I'll try to do this in 30 seconds. Here's the economics. Only 3% of every actor or actress in the world can pay their monthly bills from movie and TV jobs. Only 3%. What's the other side of that? 97% of every actor or actress in the world cannot pay their monthly bills without a secondary income. So you want to be an actor or you want to be in the film industry? You have to consider that. You'll be part of that 97%. And then there's another percent where I fit into that 3%. But inside that 3%, I'll give an example. I made millions, I lost it, I made it again, lost it, made it again. Doing some foolish choices. Take $1 million. This is a really cool, clear economic visual. You just made $1 million on this TV series, right? Now it's only 4 to 5 months of work, okay? It's 22 shows. You go $1 million. Well, no, it's not $1 million, okay? For California anyway, the IRS is going to take $350K.
Yep, exactly.
So now what do you got? $650,000?
Yep.
That's still a lot of money. You got $650K. Oh wait, you're not done. You got to pay your representation. Agent is 10%, so they don't take 10% of the net. They take 10% of the gross. That's another $100K. Now you're $550. Did you have a personal manager? That's 15%. I had all those. Okay, so 15% of 100 is 150K. So where am I at now? 400K. You go 400K for 4 months of work. Oh my gosh. Now, and I fell in this category. A lot of actors fall in this category, and they made the big mistake, what I'm about to tell you. With that $400,000, which is a lot of money, did I go out and buy the Ferrari and the $1 million home? Or did I maintain my little Prius, right, okay, and maybe get a condo, or maybe upgrade my, whatever. Now, if I went out and bought the Ferrari and bought the $1 million house and the phone does not ring, we talk about phones ringing,
yes.
If it doesn't ring in a couple of months, I'm claiming bankruptcy. Now, so the mistake, and the people that do sustain that and stay active is they took that 400K, they kept, they probably got some new tires for the Prius, and they maybe bought a, low income condo, and they were fine. If the phone didn't ring for a year, they were fine. They were good. Certain guys can do that in the industry. I had trouble with that. I could blame it on my dad because I'd say, my dad, he never bought anything new. I mean, great guy, but instead of buying a brand new boat and a brand new car and a brand new boat trailer, he'd buy all 3 used. So we go on a little vacation, right? We get the boat out in the water and the boat would break down, okay? Family vacation, horrible. Now we get the boat back on the trailer and we try to make a good time of it. And there's a reason why I'm telling this. And we put the boat on the trailer, we drive home another 300 miles and get a flat tire on the trailer and the car would break down. So I went the opposite way when I started making money. I went brand new car, brand new boat, speedboat, brand new trailer. Everything brand new. I was not establishing credit. When I went to buy my first house, they wanted 50% down. All I had to do was buy a freaking Prius and make payments. Make $250, $350 payments. I didn't do that, embarrassing to say, but until I reached my freaking, 50s. And then we ended up buying a house recently for, what was it? It was, it was practically nothing down because we established credit. So my point is I went the opposite way of what my dad went. We cannot, so I don't blame my dad because I'm a big boy, I'm an adult. But I should have in those early years, the millions I kept losing and making and kept losing and making, I just extended that failure for a long time because I did not save my money. Max von Sydow gave me 2 bits of advice on the movie set of Flash Gordon. 2 things. He taught me about helping the other actor off camera when they've already done your close-up. Now the camera's turning to me. Really just be there for the person and your job, even though I'm not on camera, bring or vice versa, bring the very best of that person. Matter of fact, to me, it's more difficult when I'm off camera and I'm giving my lines to say Max von Sydow, anybody. That's more pressure on me because it's his close-up.
Right.
It's him. So I need to bring the best of him out and not, so he taught me that. And the second bit of advice he gave me, it took me, whatever the math is, 35 years later, 35 years later, he said, save your money. He said, I've been watching you at the lunch at the cafeteria every day. and you're picking up everybody's check. He said, you need to stop that. If you keep doing that, nobody is ever going to reach in their pocket. He was right. He was right. Or they're reaching like this. You know, when the money's already out and oh, yeah, let me help you. No, if you want to pick up a check, you bring the cash out, you put the cash, you slam it on the table, or you get there early and you give the waiter your credit card. But there's other stuff, there's a little game, but oh yeah, let me. Well, that went on for 30 plus years. And again, my wife was instrumental in changing all this.
She's like, no. We're not doing this anymore.
Yeah, it's again the study of the human. I keep repeating that, but the human condition is a fascinating study. It really is.
Yeah. All right, we have time for one more if you have any. If not, I got one more. Your last call, going once, going twice. Okay. So, I've been inspired.
Oh, cool.
Talking to you right now. Just in general, listening to you and your stories. I would also, piggybacking on that, love to know what's a moment on the set, any set, that has taught you something important, either in the business or in your life.
Well, as far as the profession itself of acting, just listening. You got to be, we study our lines, and I learned something just listening to the other actors. Now, you've studied your lines, you know your lines, you know what you're supposed to say. Here's the most difficult part about acting. So we go do a scene together, right? I know what you're going to say, but I have to act like I'm hearing it for the first time.
Exactly.
So the way I get around that is I start to improvise, and it becomes difficult, not for the other actor, the writers in particular want you to stick to script. But I'll improvise behavior and reaction and all that stuff just to make it fresh. I remember they told me Jack Nicholson never wanted a rehearsal, which I think it's incredible. If you got your lines down that well without a rehearsal, matter of fact, Seth MacFarlane did not rehearse at all either. There's a freshness with that with the first time. So just being an excellent listener, and that means, and I love a couple quotes. Even though this is from Billy Graham, it applies to ministry, but this also applies to life. Billy Graham is one of my favorite sayings out of all. He says, preach the gospel every day and at times use words. I think that's incredible. In other words, just walk in the room. You maybe just a handshake, a hug, a smile. You don't need to say a freaking word, okay? Same on whatever industry we're in. Just walk in that room. And that's all that is required sometimes. So on a movie set, it's best you just be as quiet as you possibly can and be the best listener. And be teachable. Be teachable, but be a really excellent listener. Because if I don't hear what you're saying, even though I know, you know how sometimes you're talking and my lips are moving?
Yeah.
Because I'm sort of mimicking you.
Right.
I'm not aware of it. I'm supposed to, I have to hear you as though I'm hearing it the first time. I know I'm being redundant. But to bring that freshness out, so you have to shut down. I have to say, I don't know what you're going to say. I really don't know. So in a way, it's kind of a risky thing to do, to block out what I already know you're going to tell me.
Right.
Now I've got to act like, no, you really just block it out. And a lot of times I get to that point where I really don't know what you're going to say, which is good. So what does that mean? That means I really have to listen to what she's going to say. Isn't that wild how that works out? So there's a freshness in that. And a lot of times you would help me if I forgot my line, which I do quite a few times. If I'm listening to what you're saying, let's just say, hey, Sam, where'd you park the car? Oh, I parked it out front, But if I'm not listening to what you're saying, and I'm just kind of like, but if, we have to listen. That's probably some of the best advice, not just professionally on a movie set, but in life in general. We used to, us guys, we do these things all over the world. I'm walking down the sidewalk. Come on, guys, you've done this. And a guy's walking towards you. You don't know him, he doesn't know you. And you say to him, we do this sort of uncomfortable greeting. Hey, how you doing? Good. How you doing? Good. Right? Is that what you guys do? I mean, you do that here in Indiana. So one time, I'm walking down the sidewalk, this guy's walking at me, And I said, hey, how you doing? And he walked me, took a long beat, and he walked past me and says, not good. I said, okay, good. I said, I stopped. I said, did he just say not good? Okay, so I really probably wasn't listening before all the other times. Just, yeah, I'm going to say how you doing, and he's supposed to say good. How you doing? Good. And I'm
That's
supposed to
the
say good,
script.
right?
Stick to
Stick
it.
to the script. And he just, wait a minute, that guy just said not good. I said, buddy, come here. Did you just say not good? He says, yeah, my mom just died, and I lost my job. I mean, my God, it's like everything happened to him. The only thing that didn't happen is his dog didn't die. I mean, everything negative, bad happened to him. So I said, and this is something I know a lot of times we want to say, oh, that person has a problem right now. Maybe somebody else is going to come along and address that. But I don't have the time right now. See how our mind thinks? Well, wait a minute. This could take me 5 to 10 seconds to it. So I asked him. He told me, yeah, his mom died, he lost his job, and his car broke down. I'm not making this up. And I just said, Kevin, do you mind if I pray? I gave him some money. He wasn't asking for money. I gave him some, whatever I had in my pocket, and I prayed with him. That whole deal took 15 seconds. Boom. So my quote for life, someone asked me once, what's your quote for life? And I would say, if not me, then who? If not you, then who? We're there for that. It's only taken 15 seconds.
Amen, brother.
Okay, that's it. So we are put in a time and a place to be there for somebody else. And a lot of times, like I said before, sometimes it doesn't even require words. Just a hug, a handshake, or a smile. It's just that simple. Isn't that cool?
That's amazing, and I think that's a perfect way to end this.
Come on!
Go!
Thank you so much. Oh, yes. Yeah.